If you're a new business owner and you're thinking about starting your own business and then going online, having to build that website, I think it's quite daunting, especially if you don't know any coding, web development. You probably don't even know where to start. Well, I'm going to help you today. I'm going to make a multi-part series where I'll be building a website from scratch. So let's look at some of the prerequisites that we'll need in order for us to start building a website, an e-commerce website. So up on my screen at the moment, we've got a few points. The very first one is a domain. So what is a domain? So the domain is obviously the web address. The web address that you might visit, like for example, google.com. So that is a web address. So here in Australia, we might have a retailer called JB Hi-Fi. So their website would be something like www.jbhifi.com.au. A web address enables you to look professionally online, enables you to represent your business with an address that someone can resonate that address with. With a domain, obviously you don't actually need to purchase this now as part of the build, but if you're already thinking about your business and you're thinking about what you're going to do, what you're going to name it, then more than likely your domain should follow suit, as in it should represent that business. So for example, if you specialize in custom candles, you might do customcandles.com, .net, .io. So there's a few variations that you could use. So up on the screen, this is Google. What you could do is you can type in purchase a domain. Google will show you all the results for anything that will resonate with purchase a domain. So you'll see registrars or companies that sell domains like Crazy Domains, Namecheap, Ventura IP, GoDaddy. They're very common. And depending on obviously where you are in the world, these companies might be different, but because I'm in Australia, these are the most common registrars that provide domains for people that are looking to register and buy that for their business or for whatever they're needing that domain for. So let's say, for example, if we go into Crazy Domain, right? The first thing that you'll see, because we've clicked on one of the ads around purchasing a domain, it's taken you to a landing page that will allow you to pretty much search for a domain that might be available. And what generally happens is if it's not available, the registrar or the service provider will actually tell you, and then they'll recommend alternative variations that you can pick from. So for example, I use the example of the custom candles. Let's say we wanted to call it a .com. We can essentially search for it. At the moment, what you notice here, like I said, it will tell you whether it's available. So this one is actually registered already. So someone already has custom candles. So if you were to go and type in custom candles, .com, we can see that a website's about to load, which is about custom candles. So this owner or this retailer owns this domain already. So if you really wanted the .com, the extension .com, then you would need to somehow buy it from this retailer. If we go back to crazydomains.com.au, which is their main site, search for a custom domain. So let's say, we call it custom candles. That domain is already taken because it's on back order. You won't be able to purchase it, but what this company does is it allows you, or it uses the word as back order so that you can buy it. When it is up for renewal with the current owner, this registrar will be notified, and then if they don't roll over, then there's that period where it may be up for grabs, and this is where Crazy Domains will then notify you so that you have the opportunity to purchase it. Looking at the custom candles website, the customcandles.com, more than likely that's not going to happen. seems like they're a very established retailer. But as I said, with these registrars and companies, they more than will likely suggest a different extension for you if you want to continue with custom candles as your main domain. For example, we saw that the .au was available, so you could purchase that, and that is $9.55 for the first year. Now, if you scroll further down, we can see that it's showing us .sydney, which is a little bit more expensive, $79. And the reason for that is it's because it's a local extension. For local extensions, there are requirements depending on which country. For example, in Australia, if you're looking to set up a .com.au or a .net.au, you need to have a business registration, or you need to be able to prove that there's a relevant entity that represents the domain that you are looking to register. So you need to somehow show some proof that there's some relevance there. And depending on the popularity of the extension, it can also factor in the price as well. So not just from a local extension point of view. But again, you can look at all the different variations that generally these registrars or companies will provide for you as suggestions as well. So crazy domains is definitely one. If we go back to that Google search result that we did for purchase a domain, Namecheap, Ventura IP here, GoDaddy, they all do very similar. They all will have different pricing in most cases. They also offer different services to purchasing a domain. One provider or register that I recommend is Hover. Hover is in some cases cheap. You could possibly find cheaper alternatives, definitely, but I've always purchased my domains from here, and the pure fact is that they offer a free privacy attachment to any of the domains that you purchase. I get that other companies will do that, and it's entirely up to you where you purchase your domains. You don't need to purchase it from here. And like I said before, I'm not affiliated to Hover. It's just where I've bought my domains in the past. Again, if you did custom candles, it'll run a search to look for custom candles. We didn't put the .com, so it's not going to suggest the .com because we know that the .com is already owned by someone, but these are all the other different alternatives. You can see that it is relatively cheaper, but again, this is in US dollars as well, so it might work out as conversion. But again, it will show you a complex list of alternatives for you to choose for your custom candles, if that is what you're looking for, or anything that's similar to what you're thinking of for your business. So let's say, for example, we check out on the custom candles online. Generally, what they will do is then give you some optional add-ons. And what I mean by that is you can see that you can register the domain for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Generally, with a domain, you can then look at things like whether you want a company inbox or email exchange. You can use that option as well. Majority of the registrars that we looked at on that Google search will do very similar. They'll provide you with email inboxes. As I said, this is the privacy feature that I like, which is the who is privacy, which comes free from this. And the reason why it's $108 in USD is because of 4 years. So like I said before, you can start thinking about your domain as we build the e-commerce website. You don't need to purchase it now. We can purchase it later. But I mean, if you've thought about it and it's available when you're doing your research and checking out the availability of the domain that you have as an idea, then by all means go and purchase it. That's a domain in a nutshell. Like I said, it's not needed at the very start of what we're going to do over the next few series or episodes of showing you how to build a e-commerce website. But we definitely do need it at the very end, because we'll need it to connect it to the website so that we can send it live, have it looking professional, and also people will be able to find us easier than the URLs that you generally get when you start a web hosting account, which I'll show you in a second what I mean by that, which is something that you definitely do not want to use as your web address. But in saying that, let's head on back and look at the other prerequisites, let's cover them as well. The next one is web hosting. So second to the domain, web hosting is very important. It's a must need, and it's probably something that you would need before we even start building an e-commerce website. So a web hosting account is essentially a hosting environment or a server that lives in the cloud. Yes, in the cloud, where all of the website files will be located, and that is basically what forms the website. So without kind of getting into too much detail or technicalities, the browser that you use, like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or anything similar, when you type in an address, what it does is that browser looks to retrieve all those files that form your website. So for example, your home page might have all of these images, it might have all of the font, it might have the colors. It will retrieve all that from the server so that it can render it and display the website to your user. So again, without getting too technical, that's essentially why we need a hosting. Every hosting provider that you look at, there will be a cost to it. Some of the benefits with a hosting provider is that they might give you a discount. So one thing that I am affiliated to, which I will share as an affiliate link with you. So if you'd like to support the channel, use the link that I'll provide in the description, because that's the affiliate link. The affiliate link is with Elementor, which is something that we're going to talk about next as well. But going back to the web hosting, with web hosting, there's, again, similar to domains, there's thousands of different providers that you can choose from. If you don't use my affiliate link, or if you don't use the provider that I'm using as part of the demonstration of how to build an e-commerce website, you're more than welcome to obviously choose your own. So one of the things that we'll get into later on is, if you are not able to set up the environment to install the CMS, then make sure that if you are going to an alternative hosting provider, that they have adequate support, available support for you, so that you can reach out to them and get help without having to hire a separate developer to help you out with it, because obviously that's an additional cost. And the aim of this series is to help you build a website from scratch without having to hire a separate developer to help you build it. So essentially you taking full control and building it yourself, including setting up your environment, which again, it may sound hard, daunting, because it's an environment, it's a server, it's very technical, but trust me, it's relatively easy. The way that hosting providers enable or set up their environments nowadays, especially hosting environments that are shared, it's a click of a button and you've got a server and you've got your environment. You've got, in most cases as well, with providers, they do set up the CMS, the type of CMS that you choose as well. So let's look at a few web hosting providers, and what we're going to do is similar to how we did it with the domains, is we're going to use Google to search for it and see what's available. Now, similar, let's look at website hosting as a search term. Now there's heaps. There's Vulture, hopefully that's how you pronounce it, .com. There's Hostinger, there's WP Engine, Crazy Domains. Again, like I said before, they also provide hosting. So does GoDaddy. We saw Ventura IP as well. So there's obviously different hosting providers out there that you can choose from, and they all are very different in pricing. So you might want to get a few hosting providers before you come to a conclusion and choose your preferred one. The one that I'm going to show you, or show you how to set up the environment, is going to be with the one that is my preference. Based on what I've done in terms of research, I've decided to use these, and there's a particular reason for it as well, which once I show you, I'll show you the reason why. Now, each of these hosting providers, when you go through to them, let's say for example WP Engine, what you'll be looking for is the hosting packages. So for example, WP Engine at the moment, well, as soon as we got there, because our search term on Google was around hosting, it's taken us directly to a hosting landing page, which you can see that they've got a few here, which is starting with startup, professional, growth, scale, and custom, and they range from $35 all the way to $560. So if you somehow don't end up in the page of the actual hosting packages, generally you're looking for something in the menus called hosting, which is like this. So obviously there's different variations for WP Engine, but you can look at, let's say for example, if you're looking at the WordPress CMS, you can click on that. If we scroll down, we should come to, oh, it's just saying, giving you kind of the benefits and features of it. So let's look at WP Engine. Maybe look under pricing as well, is probably another one. Yeah, there you go. You can look at pricing. With these landing pages, you can flick between annually and monthly generally, and you should see the difference in pricing. For example, if you flick to monthly, it's $83 a month, so slightly more expensive. Second to that is the features or the benefits that's available under the package itself. So if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll actually see what it has in each package. So Essential is generally for not beginners, but websites that will have, you know, less traffic because they've just started out. So they're not looking to have, you know, 100,000 visitors a month or 200,000 visitors a month. They're generally a lot lower. So the server environment itself, the hosting server, will accommodate to a lower traffic. You can see from the features available in each package with WP Engine, the differences in it. Again, we won't go into too much detail. If you do end up choosing WP Engine based on your research, then obviously you'd want to look and compare. But as I said, right now, from an e-commerce point of view, you could possibly get away with setting up the Essential. So if you're not sure, what I would recommend is, again, the second to what I was saying in terms of looking for a hosting provider is their support model. Let's look at maybe another provider, Hostinger. They have 3 plans. They've got the premium, the business, and then the cloud startup. The premium looks to be $249 a month, whereas the business is $349. Cloud startup is the $759, and obviously you can then look at the different features and benefits on each of those packages. So my third point is the Elementor page builder. As part of this series of showing you how to build your own e-commerce website, we're going to be using what we call it as a page builder. So Elementor has a plugin that sits within WordPress, which is the content management system that we'll use as part of this series. So the Elementor page builder, you'll see how easy it is for you to build a website without having to hire a separate developer. You can essentially do what they do by dragging and drop, changing the style, but we'll go into that or show you what that looks like once we get there, which is probably in the next series. So this series, I think based on how long this video has gone already, it looks like we'll probably end up just setting up the server environment and then anticipating for the next video to start building the website itself, the e-commerce website. So Elementor.com provide the plugin and they provide the hosting. They also provide a domain as well if you want that. But I think if you use my affiliate link, and again, not saying that you need to, if you end up finding a separate provider for your domain and a separate provider for your hosting, like I said, look for their support, because obviously what I'm going to show you through this series is how to use Elementor as a step-by-step guide. So if you're not using Elementor, make sure that they have the support that will allow you or help you to set this up, because they should. If you're setting up an environment, if you're setting up a WordPress instance, you should be able to reach out to support and ask them for help if it's not clear on how to set that up. Should be very similar. I'll show you with Elementor. If you use my affiliate link, there is a discount for the 12-month period, so check that out. Like I said, I know I'm reminding you about this, but again, it's to help the channel if you use it. If you don't use it, that's still okay as well. I'm still going to show you how to build an e-commerce website. So scrolling down, they also offer different packages like the others, like I showed you. These also build annually, as it states there, but the very basic version, which you can get away with, which is what I got actually, which I'll show you in a sec, is the light version, and that's at $2.99 per month, which is $36 for the very first year, and then it changes back to $144 for the following year, which I think is really cheap. And I don't think that right now, to start off with, I'll be getting 10,000 visitors a month. I'd be happy with 1,000 visitors for the retro video games. And then as the business grows and I've got more budget to put towards advertising, that might change. So that's when then I would then look to upgrade the environment to cater for the increased number of visitors. If you're following my affiliate link and my recommendation to take out the hosting package with Elementor, then choose the one that you think is suitable for you. So one thing I do need to actually point out though, if you do take out the light, because we will need the, like I said, if we go back to Figma, if we need the Elementor page builder, this only gives you the free version. So the free version will have a set number of widgets that's available to you. So in this case, it's better for you to look at the $9.99. And the reason is because it has the Pro Builder in there, which should be sufficient. But anyways, the reason why I've taken out Lite is because separate to that, I've also got the page builder plugin, and you can do this as well. You can purchase this separately, which might work out a lot cheaper as well. I bought the Pro, which if you go down to the plugin, $8.25 is what I got for 3 sites, which includes the e-commerce features. You can look at the advanced one as well, which is $79. So again, it's still relatively cheap, and you're gonna have to buy that anyway, both the hosting, the domain, and also the Elementor. So that is what's part of this build, and that's what I'm going to be using to show you how to build a e-commerce website without having to hire a developer. Yeah. So let's look at the very last prerequisite in the Figma file. Oh, second last, sorry. It's the themes. So basically we need to think about what our website or our business will look like. So that looks at your branding, how you represent yourself online. And then the very last one is your image assets. What I want to do now is kind of finish off the prerequisites and then set up the environment, finish the video. And then in the next episode, we'll look at choosing the theme, creating the style guide, creating the typography, setting all that up, and then setting that up in the website so that it's standard as the framework, as the structure of the website, so that when we build it, we already have that set up. We don't then need to tinker with choosing the different font sizes, the font, the styling, the colors. It's already set up. It'll make the build a lot easier, trust me. So just to recap, in terms of the prerequisites that you need before we start building any website, any e-commerce website, especially the one that we're going to be building. So the first one is obviously the domain. The domain, like I mentioned, you don't need it now, but it's good to start researching, thinking about it, even buying it now if you can, because we'll need it when we're ready to go live. Secondly, web hosting. We definitely need web hosting. We can't go without it because that's where the website will live. As part of the series, we'll be looking at, or we'll be using Elementor as the page builder to build the website, because that will enable us to build it without a developer. Because it's going to be an e-commerce site, we'll be using WooCommerce, which is also another plugin. The fourth point is the theme and the design, the look and feel of your website, your branding, your typography, your color scheme, etc. So we'll get into that once we've set up the environment in the next video. And then also images. So start thinking about product images and stuff like that. To finish off the video today, let's head on over to Elementor and set up that environment and install WordPress as a fresh instance so that in the next video, we can start building the e-commerce website. I've already got a Elementor account, so I'm just going to log in, but for you, you would be creating it, you'll be purchasing it, and you'll be creating that account. So you'll have a similar step as me anyway. So I'm just going to log in using my account that I have. You've got on your left the billing section, brand and business, other services, and their support. If you need help with the Elementor environment or your hosting environment, this is where you would go to lodge a ticket, and they're fairly responsive. So once I lodge a ticket, within a couple of hours, they'll come back to me, sometimes even a couple of minutes. But let's click on create a hosted website. It'll ask us, how do you want to create your site? We can use the existing subscription, or we start a new one, which is choosing a different plan. So let's click on use this subscription. It will then ask you, how do you want to create your site? Do you want to create from scratch, or as in create a new one? You can click on create a new site. It's basically setting it up. There's two things available to us right now. One is manage the website, and the other is go to the editor. So go to the editor is going straight to editing the website, which we won't do. We'll just have a quick look at how this has set up our website for now. So let's just go manage this website. You're still at this point within Elementor, so you're not at your website yet. So what you can see is if you go back to the main dashboard, you'll see now I have an extra tile. At the moment it's called Hien site. Let's get back into manage this site because we don't want to go there just yet. But I want to just point out this part here. So this is the default URL that Elementor will assign and associate to any new websites or hosting in environments that they set up. It's unique to your environment, to your new instance that you set up. So no one else will have it. So you could essentially use this as your web address. For example, if we just copy this and we paste it into a new tab, this is essentially a website in itself. So you can then start promoting this if you like, but as you can see, it's not professional. We don't have a completed site, so that's separate. But if you have a look at that, not many people will be able to remember that off by heart. So that's what I mean by it's not professional. So you wouldn't put that on a business card and hand it to a client, because when they get it, they'll be like, oh, it's emjbovkb.elementor.cloud. Imagine them referring you, hey, you know what, I met Daniel and he gave me this business card, he's got a web address, maybe check him out. You'll have to go to, oh wait, it's on the business card, it's do you know what I mean? It's not that professional. So that's why you need a domain, and that's why that was the very first prerequisite of what I was saying before, which you don't need now. But like I said, when we go live, when we're ready to go live, we finish building the website, the e-commerce website, then that's when we'll need that domain. We'll swap that out and replace it with a much better looking domain. That is simply how you can set up a WordPress environment or an instance with a click of a button. Like I said before, it's that easy. You don't have to get any more technical than that. What you can do is actually now have a look at your WordPress environment. So if you click on WP admin, this now takes you to the back of your actual website. So it's taken you out of the Elementor environment. You can see now, remember how I was saying that this is now your web address without adding your own domain there just yet. But this is the back end. The back end has different options for you to look at. You've got the dashboard, you've got the activity log, so basically what you've done or who's logged in, or pretty much us. Later on, as we kind of build out the website, we build out posts, you'll start seeing content in these sections. At the moment, it's just a default hello world page. There you go. That's what it looks like. No styling, no branding, no nothing. It's just default as it is, as you set it up. Media, again, there's just default stuff in here. If there's anything, nothing at the moment, but this is where all your image assets, when you upload it, will live, which we'll then go into later on. Pages, the same as well. At the moment, we've only got the very first page, which was this page here. That's it there. But as we kind of build out the site, we'll see different pages being populated on this page. We won't go into any more details because I think that's a long enough video to kind of talk through all the prerequisites, what we're going to do, and also set up the WordPress instance. I hope that you've got some value out of the very initial early stages of, starting a e-commerce website, start to build an e-commerce website. Hopefully you'll stick with me for the following videos as we then kind of dive into building it, looking at the designs, etc. So it's going to be exciting. I know it's going to be exciting, and I know it's going to help a lot of people out there. So just stick with me. Hopefully you click on the subscribe button so that you'll get notified for the next video. But until then, happy days.